President Joe Biden is hailing the landmark agreement allowing Sweden into NATO. This as President Zelensky is publicly criticizing the U.S. and NATO for not setting a timeline for when Ukraine can actually be offered membership into that group. ABC's Faith Abube has the latest from the NATO summit.
Welcome to you, Saudi.
President Biden pumping his fist in the air as Secretary General Stoltenberg welcomes Sweden to the historic NATO summit in Lithuania. Sweden now on a clear path to becoming the 32nd member of the defensive alliance behind Finland, after Turkey dropped its long-held opposition following months of negotiations.
This is a historic moment. Adding Finland and Sweden to NATO is consequential.
Secretary of State Antony Blinken telling ABC News that the NATO expansion sends a clear message to Russia's Vladimir Putin. He claimed NATO's expansion into Eastern Europe as one of several reasons for the Kremlin waging war on Ukraine.
Our alliance is stronger. It's more united than it's ever been.
But NATO is facing increasing pressure from Ukraine regarding its possible membership into the group after U.S. National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan refused to set a timeline for their admission.
I can't put a timetable on it. I don't believe that you will see that coming out of here.
That answer provoking a strong response from Ukraine's President Zelensky, who slammed the alliance on social media before arriving at the high-stakes summit, calling the lack of a time frame absurd, adding that uncertainty is weakness.
President Biden's been very clear about this, and in fact the Ukrainians have too, that in the midst of a war, you're not going to take the membership step.
Meantime, the Biden administration insists that the decision to send a batch of controversial cluster munitions to Ukraine will not threaten NATO unity, and that
he threatened me at one point and said, Boris, I don't want to hurt you, but with a missile it would only take a minute or something like that, jolly. But I think from the very relaxed tone that he was taking, the sort of air of detachment that he seemed to have, he was just playing along with my attempts to get him to negotiate. He said, Boris, you say that Ukraine is not going to join NATO anytime soon. He said it in English, anytime soon. What is anytime soon? And I said, well, it's not going to join NATO for the foreseeable future.
Hey, Shalom. First off, I want to start off by saying all praises, honor, and glory is due unto Yahweh, by Hashem Yahweh Shai, by Hashem Rakal Kadashis. All praises to the Lord, God's God, whose true name in the Hebrews, Yahweh, by Hashem, meaning in the name of Yahweh Shai, being the name of the only begotten Son. Also, when I say double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone, and peace and mercy to the hopeful like preachers, word and truth and sincerity, on the brother Tazabah and the Great Millstone Arizona camp. Love will with another video to edify, and here it is, man. We right on the cusp of World War III, right? Of course, the mark of the beast, the RFID implantable microchip has to be fully put on the people at the threat of death, but ultimately that tension is building up for World War III to happen, right? This is another article. It says Kennedy accuses Biden preparing for war with Russia. It says, by ordering the deployment of 3,000 more reservists to Europe, U.S. President Joe Biden is preparing to fight Russian forces on the ground in Ukraine. Democratic presidential candidate Robert F. Kennedy Jr. has said Biden has lost his way. Kennedy tweeted on Friday, arguing that the president should focus on America's domestic problems instead of trying to achieve global military dominance. I want people to understand what this troop mobilization is about. It's about preparing for a ground war with Russia. And that's really what it is. All right, let me get this other article. All right, we spoke on this a little bit at camp. All right, it says U.S. considering military options against Russia and Syria. Right, and the reason why they're going through Syria is because if they have their troops land in European territory, and those troops march through to get to Russia through European territory, they'll have to directly assault Russia will directly have to assault European allies to America. Right? So to avoid that, they're going to go through Syria, which that's playing in a prophecy as well. Right? Because the scriptures tell you that World War III, right? The Valley of Hawashaphat is going to be in the place where the hindermost part is towards the Eastern Sea, and it's faced towards the Great Sea, right? Talking about Saudi Arabia, right? But it says the U.S. is weighing a military response to Russia's presence in the skies over Syria. And so right now they're basically going through territories where they've already had military exploration, where they already have military occupations going, right, within allies to Russia, because you know Russia's not going to just straight up bomb the hell out of an allied country. It says response to Russia's presence in the skies over Syria, a Pentagon official told Associated Press on Friday. While the Syrian government wants the U.S. to leave the country, Washington insists it will fly its drones with impunity. The anonymous official refused to state what options were being considered, but claimed that the U.S. intends to address increasing Russian aggression in the skies over Syria, right? So they're getting prepared for direct conflict. Direct conflict. This is all prophecy. It's all coming to pass. It's all linking up and it's beautiful, right? It's all linking up and it's beautiful. So World War III is getting prepared, and those 3,000 troops that they had took off the reservists, right? They're gonna send over there to set everything up for the major battles to start happening, right? But let me get some precepts now, man. This is Matthew 24:6. It says, "And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines and pestilences and earthquakes." And they just had a 7.2 magnitude earthquake off the coast of Alaska, sending tsunami warnings to the western coast of America, right? You got all these types of floods happening on the eastern coast, right? It says pestilence and earthquakes in diverse places. All these are the beginning of sorrows, right? The beginning of sorrows. So this military conflict, that's just the beginning of all hell breaking loose. This is what the scriptures speak about, right? You saw in the beginning of the video, it had the brother already put in his video, the Revelation 11, I think it was 11:4, or 11 and 14. It says the second woe is past, and behold, the third coming quickly. That third woe, right? That word woe, when you go into it, means destruction, right? Right? So the third destruction, the third world war, is coming quickly. It's all getting prepared. Things are gearing up. Now you're seeing, I shared that clip with Boris Johnson talking about.
Well, it's not going to join. And he threatened me at one point and said, Boris, I don't want to hurt you, but with a missile it would only take a minute or something like that. You
see, with a missile it only take a minute. That's some Russians. Remember that old nature is coming right back up in them, man. This is Ezekiel 38:1. It says, "And the word of Yahweh came unto me, saying, Son of man, set thy fate against Gog, the land of Magog." Talk about Russia, the chief prince of Meshach and Tubal, and prophesy against them, and say, "Thus say Yahweh power. Behold, I am against thee, O Gog, the chief prince of Meshach and Tubal, and I will turn thee back and put hooks into thy jaws, and I'll bring thee forth all thine army, horses and horsemen, all of them clothed with all sorts of armor, even a great company with buckler and shield, all of them handling swords." Right? So the Lord is preparing these nations for the war. Everybody's going to come to this battle. The Lord has this determined, right? He said, what? My determination? Let's get that. This is Zephaniah 3:8. It says, "Therefore wait ye upon me, said Yahweh, until the day that I rise up to the prey. For my determination is to gather the nations, that I may assemble the kingdoms, to pour upon them mine indignation, even all my fierce anger," right? "Even all my fierce anger, for all the earth shall be devoured with the fire of my jealousy," right? And how's that fire going to come? Through nuclear missiles, right? So the Lord's determination is to gather these countries to fight. To fight World War III. It's gonna happen. It's going to happen, man. And this clip is from about 2 years ago, I think. Let me see. Yeah, this clip is from June 30th, 2023. So this is from this year. All right, this is from this year. And he's telling straight up, hey, it'll only take a minute for me to seriously hurt you. All right? The hooks are being set into the jaws. That old riled up spirit, Esau being set against Esau. The Lord is preparing this war for a reason. All right? Things are about to get heated up, man. Let me get that utmost C part. Utmost. Yeah, this is Joel 2. And I started 19. It says, yeah, Yahweh will answer and say unto his people, behold, I will send you corn and wine and oil, and ye shall be satisfied therewith. And I will no more make you a reproach among the heathen, but I will remove far from you the northern army, talking about North American army, right? The U.S. Army. And I will drive them into a land barren and desolate. That land barren and desolate is talking about Saudi Arabia. It says, with his face towards the east sea. Let's get that. So it says, and I will drive him to a land barren and desolate, with his face towards the east sea, right? The east sea, right there. Right? Talking about the Persian Gulf. Right? And it says, in his hinder parts toward the utmost sea, right? The hinder parts towards the utmost sea is talking about the Red Sea, right? So his face towards the Persian Gulf and his backside towards the Red Sea, right? And where are they landing all their troops? In Syria, right? They're going to try to keep the battle away from Europe as best as possible. And you have American interests all throughout this whole area, right? It says, utmost sea, it says, and his stink shall come up, and his ill savor shall come up, because he had done great things. You see? But this is what's happening. The war is being prepared. The battle is being ignited, right? I think I'm going to name this one, Esau stokes the fires, but the Lord's the one that fans them, right? Because at the end of the day, these nations know what World War III means for them, right? Let's get this. This is where's it at? I think it's in Proverbs or Psalms. This is Proverbs 21:1. It says, the king's heart is in the hand of Yahweh, as rivers of water. He turneth it whithersoever he will. Right? Because these nations know what World War III means. They know that World War III would mean, right? Basically, in their eyes, it's mutual destruction. They know the death toll is different. They know the weaponry is different than all other world wars, right? But at the end of the day, the Lord's the one driving them to this conclusion that they got to do this, right? But this is what we're coming into. So, Lord willing, it's an edifying lesson. Keep your eyes on the prophecies. Call Allah, Yahweh, Ba'ashim Yahushai, Ba'ashim Rakakadash, the honors to the elders and apostles, a great millstone and peacemaker, hopefully. Shalom.